Hello, I'm Mr. Sean B.W. Parker for Empowering the Innocent TV, and today we're talking to Mr. Brian Buckle, who was falsely accused some years ago and went to prison in 2017, I believe. He'll correct us if I get any of this wrong. And we're talking to Brian today about his all of that story and also the ongoing claim for compensation, which has been in the media, mainstream media, over the last couple of weeks, talking to very, very compellingly. Brian Buckle's a friend. We met at the falsely accused day for the last couple of years, I think, and he's a staunch fella, and we're delighted he's here. So, hi, Brian. How's it going?
Hi, Sean. Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Getting on with each day.
Excellent. Are you at home in South Wales? Is that where you are at the moment, or?
Yes, I'm home in Fishguard at the moment. Yeah.
You've got a really supportive the family, haven't you? Really helping you out.
Yes, yeah. I mean, my family and have supported me right the way through. I suppose it does make it easier when they know the story. They know that I'm innocent, so it does make it easier. So yeah, I've had very good support from all my family. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such an important thing for all the falsely accused, wrongly convicted, having the family, and not everybody does, of course, and they're going through it alone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you do hear some horrific stories about families breaking up and stuff, and that and the person is innocent, and it's a shame. It's a shame.
Heartbreaking stuff. Heartbreaking. Absolutely. Do you want to give us a quick back view about what happened to you in the lead up to 2017 and afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, 2015, I got into a altercation with my complainant's father, and it went on from there, really. So basically, the police got me in to interview me regarding the fight, and then it turned in from the fight into the person then saying that I stole a machine, a mini digger, and then it went from a phone call to come and speak about the mini digger to saying that I'd abused the complainant. So it's at that point, like, it was, I wasn't arrested. No police come to my house. None of my phone was checked. No computers taken. Police never even came to my house at the incident. I was invited to the police station for a chat, and it just went mayhem from there. Basically, just they weren't interested in finding the truth. The police went to my complainant's place of work, where it was a pub, and they asked her, "Is it true what's been said that I was meant to have abused her?" And she said, "Yeah, whatever's been said, that's the truth, but I don't want to make a complaint." It's like, how can the police go to a public house behind the bar when she's? Do you know what I mean? It's just the most bizarre way. And they chased her then for a few weeks to persuade her to make a statement, and in the end, she did make a statement. Then she made four different statements, and then she made her ABE, and then I was charged then. But everything that was said, that we had evidence to prove that what she had said are lies, police were not interested in that whatsoever. Just did not want to know.
Wow. So I get the feeling from that, and of course, we're not the police to know that, but you're going to know better than most. It wasn't her that was pushing for you to be prosecuted. It was more people around her and the police themselves. Is that correct? Or
Yeah. It wasn't her. It was the person I had a fight with that came to the house. He was the one I was pushing to get it prosecuted. And he was the one that was phoning the police to ask them. We've got all this in our paperwork. We've got this in the transcripts and part of the disclosure paperwork. He was phoning the police to say, has she made a statement? Has she made a statement yet? Has she done that? And you're thinking, hold on, why would you do that? It just didn't make sense at the time. But obviously, as things went on, you understand what was going on then.
When you get charged and then you end up in court, then was there a gap between going to court and being charged, or what?
Yeah, I was on bail for just over 2 years, and then after they finally decided that they'd got enough to take it to court, then they said that it was going. So obviously went to magistrate's court. I pleaded not guilty, and then from there, then we went to Crown Court on the 2nd of May 2017.
Right. What was the makeup of the jury? What do they look like?
It was half and half of male and female. So it was a mixture.
Like,
Pardon?
what about the ages? Kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean there was some older members of the jury, and there was some there that were, well, I would say mostly 1920. I mean, one of the guys that was one of the lads that was there had a bottle of Coke popped with him. He had a hoodie. His hoodie was up over his head, just sitting there. You could see he was not interested in what was said. It was quite embarrassing, really. But you don't, now you look back at it, you understand it. But at the time, you just think that they're listening and you're taking it all in, But yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, I hear a lot of conversation from people who've been jurors who say that in that room, the conversation is such what they didn't expect. There's so much groupthink and people just trying to get out of there and just dismissing things immediately. And they found you guilty incorrectly, right? We can imagine that. Was it unanimous or was it the majority?
No, it was 11-1. So it took them longer to decide whether I was guilty than it did for my case, because I was meant to have a 5-day trial, and it ended up being 3.5 days. They rushed it through. One of the jurors never turned up on the Tuesday, so court was cancelled, and then we went to court on the Wednesday, and then the judge said, "Oh, there's no court this afternoon because I got a hospital appointment." So there was witnesses that were discarded, that my barrister and the prosecution had made a deal behind my back to not call witnesses. There was the hypnotherapist, which was actually what was the godsend in my retrial. That was withheld from us, so we didn't know about that. That my barrister had done a deal with the prosecution behind my back. And so the longest time was them debating whether I was guilty or not, because they couldn't decide. And then they came back. We had to come back after a weekend then because they couldn't decide. And then on the Tuesday after the bank holiday, I think it was about 10 o'clock, something like that, they found me guilty then. But one of the jurors who we know the guy that wasn't, we think we know, because when they were reading the guilty verdicts, he was just shaking his head, just like couldn't believe that, just that what was going on.
Wow. About a year ago, I attended a conference up in London for Appeal, who got Andy Malcolmson's exonerated last 2 years ago. And it was a conference about the majority verdict by juries to say that they're wrong, because in your case there, one person thought you weren't guilty. Does that not say reasonable doubt? And in the Andy Malcolmson case, 2 people thought that he wasn't guilty, I believe. Obviously reasonable doubt. Same for Lucy Letby, a very hot subject at the moment, of course. What do you think about that majority verdict?
No, I mean, yeah, I agree, because if you've got people who are, arguing and thinking that you're not guilty, and then you've got other people. You have to question, well, why did that person think that you were not guilty, and why did all the others think that you were guilty? So it's hard, because in my retrial I was obviously a majority, 12 jury not guilty. So you accept that then, because it's, they've all agreed, they've all heard the evidence. But you do question, think, well, hold on, has that person understood, that said they're not guilty, or, wouldn't make a guilty verdict, but have they heard something different to what the rest have? Do you know what I mean? And picked up on other things, which basically, if you've got a strong foreman, I suppose, or people that want to go home, they override the decision, don't they? So
what do you think would be the solution to this? Do you think it would be the trained jurors, or to not have juries for this kind of trial, which is what the activists want to bring in, and so it's a very mixed bag of whether that's a good idea or not. What's your feelings on it, having been through it, the worst end of it?
Right, so originally, when I first came out of prison and I went through my retrial and stuff, I was very bitter at the jury, because I thought, these guys don't know me. They've got no idea of how my life has been, no idea how my family life. All they have heard is what's been put in front of them. So my thing was, yeah, it should be done by judges and, people who are trained, who look at the evidence and all that sort of stuff. But as I've gone on as well, I've also come to the conclusion that it is down to the barristers, because I don't care what anybody says. My barrister, Mr. Stephen Vullo, Casey, I don't think I would have won my retrial without him, because he works to the law, and everything that he'd done, the jury understood. He made sure they understood every bit of evidence, all the lies that were told in court. Every time that there was a lie told in court by the prosecution, even the prosecution woman herself, she even was telling tales in the court case. If you've got a good barrister that comes across well and explains to the jury everything and how they're meant to be looking at the evidence and stuff, then I think the jury does work. But if you've got a poor barrister, I mean, I've had two sides of it. I had a very poor barrister in my first trial, and I was found guilty. I had a fantastic barrister in my retrial. I mean, and I won unanimously. So I've seen it on both, going through a trial, go through the appeal courts, and then going through a retrial. So I have seen a whole lot of it, really. So it's a hard one. I think, personally, I think there's a lot of barristers out there that maybe shouldn't be doing what they do. Because for me, just like through Swansea Crown Court, they're all friendly. So they're not, my barrister and the prosecution, they work together every day. So that maybe shouldn't happen. When I had Mr. Vullo come in from London, and he was an outsider, he went for it. He didn't care who he upset. He told the prosecution that they were lying. He told the prosecution that they're talking rubbish. He told the prosecution, prove what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And they couldn't.
It's fascinating, isn't it? It's like I get the impression that would you support like the inquisitorial barrister style that they have in Scandinavia? I don't know if you know about this, as opposed to our adversarial one, which is kind of trying to prove everyone wrong and prove guilt and all this, which is fun and money. The inquisitorial is much drier, but it probably brings a lot more for fairness, which is what you seem to be talking about, really, asking questions to get to the truth.
Yeah. I mean, at the moment, I agree with what you're saying. Yes, it does need changing, but I think that we've got to get away from this, that you've got to prove yourself innocent.
Yeah, we should do that anyway, but yeah.
know, if there's an accusation made, and this is exactly what I said to the government. You know, I've been saying to the government as we're going through this process, same as what the debate. The whole point of what, great, they want to change the compensation and blah blah blah, and they want to pay out because people have been falsely accused. Yeah, that's great, but why pay? Why should you have to pay somebody? Get it right in the first place. Yes, you're not going to get everything 100%. You are going to have one or two unfortunate that nip and get through the net, and they do make a mistake. Yeah, we can all accept that, but we all know that all this is about is a prosecution getting convictions.
Mm.
They're not interested in fair trials, not interested in getting both sides of the story. They don't care, and that's what I said to the government is, look at your system because it's broken. Yeah, great, you're paying out money after. All right, I haven't been paid money yet, but it's great that they're looking at doing that. But get your justice system correct. Get them doing their jobs properly.
Absolutely, and you're a very powerful voice, and it's so necessary. Um, After you were, let's go back to 2017 briefly. You went to prison. Which prison
Yeah.
did you go to?
I went to Park Prison to start with, 14 months. And then I was moved then from Park to Stafford then. I was there then for 4 years then.
4 years.
Still,
And the 14 months. Right.
Yeah.
So let's get to the nitty gritty, which you might not get elsewhere in the media. People give what you were convicted of. People give you a hard time in prison. It's something people are most terrified of, that sort of thing. Did you have any of that kind of experience, or was it not as reported, or what?
No, I know. No, I mean, Park Prison was obviously it was a mains prison, but there was a VP, which is vulnerable people wing. So you're on there. I mean, I did work down in the catering in the catering stores, basically the kitchens, and the mains boys were there. And I mean, I didn't have any hassle off them. But in Stafford, it's a full sex offenders prison. So everybody that's there is a sex offender. So there's not the only there are stuff that go on that you know that go on there that is very bad, but it's not because you're a sex offender. It's because there are dirty people in there and they want to do other stuff in there, you know. So yeah, it's sick, like, you know. So yeah, so it's not about, oh, you're a paedophile or you're a rapist and we're going to beat you up or sugar you or whatever. That it's more that we want to do stuff to you in the cell and stuff like that. That's what the fights and stuff are about.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw a statistic a couple of years ago that 50% of people in the Isle of Wight, the one that's reserved for people convicted of sexual offences, are for maintaining innocence. 50% out of those 600 or 800 prisoners. That's quite a lot, isn't it? And far be it from any of us to say, no, you're not. You know what I mean? It's a interesting stat.
Yeah. The problem is now is you're in a situation now because it's so common that this is happening. You don't know who's innocent and who's not innocent now, because when you're in prison, everybody's innocent. Unfortunately, everybody you speak to, I haven't done this, or I haven't done that, I haven't done this, or this hasn't happened, or I shouldn't be here. And a lot of them believe they shouldn't be there, even though they have committed the crime, because they think that they haven't done anything wrong. So, you know, there's something wrong with them people, but they're not, you know, yeah. So you unfortunately you have to treat everybody the same, because until you know any different, because I was in that situation myself.
Yeah. I've got a quote off the BBC that you gave to them recently, saying every single night, all I dreamt of being in prison was being in prison or how to get out of prison, which is a very eloquent little phrase of yours, I thought. Uh, when you're in there, you know, the people watching this, most people won't have had that experience. Not many people in Britain have, all around the world have, which is a good thing. How would you say you survive? You're a very nice bloke and a reasonable guy, and so you see, and people will be like, "Well, he shouldn't have been in prison." How did you handle it? And yeah, how did you handle it?
Well, I struggled a lot. I'm not going to lie. Well, if you ask my wife, I think every night I would cry on the phone. So it was my wife and my daughter that sorry. Yeah, it was my wife and my daughter that got me through it, basically, because it would be so easy to top yourself or whatever, but then you think, well, hold on, that's not that's not fair, because even though I knew I was innocent, it was, well, it's just a horrendous place to be. It's just, you're so angry. I was so angry all the time. I would just constantly just wanting to shake people, and just because when you're in there, you cannot do anything. You can't just pick up a phone and phone a barrister. You can't just pick up the phone and speak to whoever to say, look, what's going on. You get a 10-minute phone call, and then that's it. And then you have to wait, and then you can phone back again later on. So you're actually stuck in this room for ever, it seems. And it just doesn't, well, it just didn't seem as ever, ever was ending, to be fair.
Yeah, the parallel reality.
Yeah.
So your 4.5 years went at last. Now we can say, and I'm going to ask something you might not have heard elsewhere as well. When I think about the case of Mr. Jeremy Bamber, who I guess you've heard about, Jeremy, yeah, and accused of killing his family, and he spent 40 years maintaining innocence, the only person on the whole life to do so. So there's a feeling I get he handles this by knowing that he got put away on behalf of his sister, who he thinks did it, who lots of people think actually did it. He got put away on behalf of her, as in he took one for the family, which is one way of handling it if it's a miscarriage of justice. Do you ever feel like you took one for your friend who was once a friend, right? Is that how you feel, or is that me fishing?
No, no, no. I had, obviously, I was sentenced to 33 years, and then I had to serve the 15 years. So,
wow. Didn't know
yeah, I was sentenced to 33 years, and then I had to serve 15. So it's not, I had 15 years, and then it was reduced by a half or a three quarter. I would have had to, so my release date was 2032.
that.
So I would have served my whole 15 years maintaining my innocence. I didn't care about the date. I didn't care whatever. It was about fighting to prove my innocence. And all I wanted to do is to prove it to my family that I hadn't done this, what I was accused of. That's what I was doing. So when the evidence was coming out, even though we had it in the beginning, and it got more and more as we were going along, you could see it was getting more and more evident that things weren't correct, which hence why, we went to the appeal courts.
Right. Gotcha. I didn't know the sentence was that long. I don't know why I didn't investigate that. Interesting for the viewers to realise.
Yeah, yeah.
Coming to end this, if you were ever allowed to have conflict resolution with that complainant of yours, just on the basis that you used to know them, not that you have to like them, would you ever do such a thing, or do you think that's completely outlandish and you're too far furious for that? You don't seem very furious.
What are you on about? Would I speak to them?
Conflict resolution, just trying to make everything better, you know?
I could never forgive that. I could never. It's not a case of what they've done to me. It's what they've done to my family. So it's like that, I would never trust or would never want to be in a room or whatever with that person. I could never, yeah, no way I could do that.
Enough, Brian. So, like, as we heard just last week on the TV, you basically your family spent 500, £500,000 getting you out completely justifiably, and well done you all. And also, the max compensation you might get is £500,000. So, if it all works out, you'll have broken even after 10 years. Is that right? Is that a summary?
Yeah, it's a quite a hard pill to accept, really. I mean, yeah, we've spent £500,000 to prove my innocence, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. Because if that's how the justice system is, then obviously we have not got a justice system, because that should not happen. But I've got to be. I'm going to double edge because I don't want people thinking that I'm just being greedy and I'm going to get loads of money because I haven't. Since I've been out since 2022, I haven't received a penny off anybody. So I've not had everything we're doing, everything I've done for the interviews with the BBC. We've had no payment. This isn't about payment. This is about getting our story and trying to help other people to understand that this happens every day. This isn't just something that's happened to me. This is going on to families every day. So that's what we're trying to get out of it more. I mean, I'd like to have an apology from the government, which would be really nice, to go with the compensation if I could get one.
I was just going to mention, right? You appear to have been put inside on the Believe the Victims policy, which online is a massive deal and behind Andy Malkinson. Though it came in, your case is so much more new. It's in the last 10 or so years. These things were arguably brought in by our current Prime Minister Keir Starmer on the Believe the Victim thing, importing from America. How about, Brian, would you like an apology in the public from Keir Starmer to say, I'm sorry about the Believe the Victim thing, and we won't be doing that anymore. We have the legal safeguarding to make sure that doesn't happen. Would you like that apology?
I would love that apology, because I have actually asked if I could meet him face to face, because I take my family in front of him and just show him how many victims he's created now by doing what he's done. Because we are all victims of this now. My family are all victims of it. My friends are all victims. So everybody that knows me, it's affected everybody. But they don't, like I say, they don't care. And it's the same really as what frustration I have got on the part of it is the compensation they pay to the complainant. The complainants get compensation for making a complaint. They even get their money before they go to court. Yet I've got to fight now, took the nail to try and get compensation for something I haven't done. And they're telling me, oh no, you're not entitled to it because you don't meet the statutory test for it. Yeah, hold on. I've proved that it's all lies. The complainant has admitted in court that she was abused 2 years previously to meeting me. So it isn't me. So why aren't you getting the person that it actually is? And why aren't you taking them on? Yet you've paid that complainant compensation, taxpayers' money. You're not getting that back off anybody. So that's what frustrates me a lot is, they're paying all the compensation. Stop the compensation and there might not be so many complaints.
Well, absolutely. Your entire story and your family is such a testament to keeping going, resilience. As we've said, you've got your wonderful, loyal family who I met at the Falsely Accused Day. You all look so great. And as we say, not everyone has that. So good for them and for us that do have that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Brian. It's been absolutely fascinating. I want to repeat what you said about apology from Keir Starmer would be certainly something, or maybe even an explanation, or whoever did it. So thanks again, and I hope that this this is going to fall on interested ears. I'm sure it will. So best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you
Right.
very much.
Thanks, Brian. Bye bye.